All righty. Good morning. Good morning. How we doing? How are we doing? So taking a look at ES this morning, gapping down, right? We came into the session. Well, let's back up a little bit. We ended last week with price near that near-term range high, trading right up against this resistance point right through here. Let me rescale this. There we go. So 56.65 has been that near-term area of resistance. Sellers continuing to show up there. I'd mentioned Friday into the close, I would have liked to have seen an open near this 56.65, but not getting that this morning, right? Price gapping down back into kind of a mid-range reference point here, that 5625 level of interest. So that's going to be the main focus off the open for ES. And essentially what I want to see here is whether buyers are going to step in versus this zone for a retest back up into, maybe 56.50, maybe 56.65 again, or if this rejection of the near-term range high is going to show some continuation into maybe the prior day low, that 5600 level of interest, maybe even that 5585 area. So mid-range within the context of the near-term range high being rejected. That's currently where we're at on the S&P. Now jumping over to NQ. Let's take a look at NASDAQ here. We know that 700 area has been critical resistance, right? Sellers continuing to show up in that zone. Similar type of setup from Friday's action. We see a Friday close into what could be a breakout point, but of course it is still resistance until it's not, meaning it's going to be resistance until price actually breaks out. And so we see it continue to hold as resistance. And so we've got a gap down this morning, down into that 19,450, and my approach for NASDAQ will be pretty similar to what I just discussed in ES. I want to see how that prior day volume point of control and that 19,450 level of interest is going to be treated, and whether or not buyers really step in versus this support zone. If that overnight low fails, right, and we see acceptance below that overnight low, probably look for that prior day low, maybe that 335 level of interest right through here. So see how the morning shakes out. We do have a data print at 9:45 and another at 10 a.m. So a couple of landmines to watch for here early in the session. So I'll be looking at most likely focused on NQ off the open. And again, we just want to see how's this 450 going to be treated. This prior day volume point of control. We can see that the pre-market structure is showing some support there, but we're within the context of price rejecting that near-term range high, right? So something to keep in mind. Got about 2.5 minutes till the open here. Pre-market low currently sits just beneath that 450 area. Now, unfortunately, TradingView shows the extended volume profile, including Monday's session. Monday was a holiday, right? So something to keep in mind. We do have a big high volume node building out here. I imagine the volume point of control for the actual session here is going to be somewhere through here, probably like 482, 485 area. So let's see how we open up. Got about 90 seconds. We are going to be looking at a decent gap down, but still within the context of that prior day's range. So $30 seconds till the open. So let's see this opening print here. There's the open. $15-minute into the open just kind of shows a near-term structure, right? A little bit of a range there. There's ES holding 56.25, so that's that main level of interest on watch. NQ coming into that overnight low here, so this should give us some good clues for the morning. There's that overnight low, breaking that overnight low on NASDAQ. There you have S&P as well, down through that overnight low. So like I said, acceptance below here can start to target that prior day low. 450 remains on watch here on NASDAQ, 450. So see if sellers are able to show any acceptance there. So far, just a blip below, quickly reclaiming. Here's your prior day profile. This is Friday, right? Not Monday. Talking about Friday here. And gap rules can apply on a session like this. So let's see how that opening 5-minute bar shakes out. New lows on the sesh. How's the audio, by the way? All good on the audio? Thank you, thank you, thank you. 4-second delay, nice. It's about as good as it gets, I think. 4 seconds. So NQ, looking at the 450, I'm just watching the reaction here near that overnight low, pre-market low. Don't forget data at 9:45. Opening 5-minute bar closes in about 50 seconds. So here comes that prior day low down into 19,370. Prior day low, just a reference point. I'd be more interested in the 335 if price gets down there. There's that first 5-minute candle closure. See what S&P is doing. So you can watch it if weakness continues below that 56.25. You can watch it down into that prior day volume point of control there. And Q working on that prior day low now. Then below prior day low, if it fails, you got the 335 level of interest. Here's kind of that near term regular trading hour structure. VWAP way up there at 545 area on NASDAQ. So far, buyers stepping in versus that prior day low. S&P kind of in no man's land here. VWAP way up at 5642. Here's that near-term structure. So this area, some prior support through here. See how it's treated into the data prints. Data here in about 6 minutes. Next 5-minute bar closing in less than a minute here. Staying patient, you know the drill. There's that next 5-minute bar. So just watching the reaction here at prior day low. Data in 5 minutes. We have final manufacturing PMI at 9:45 a.m. NQ retesting the lows there. There's that prior day low on NQ. A little undercut of that prior day low. Intraday structure so far, obviously downtrend. There's that first 15-minute bar closing in 3 minutes. So let's see this data print, how this intraday structure develops near the prior day low, post data, post the first data print. New lows there on NASDAQ coming into that 335 level of interest. Let's see what S&P. So there's S&P into prior day volume point of control. Like we said, weakness below that 5625. Get a test into that prior day volume point of control there. Next real level is 5600 on S&P. There's data in about 1 minute. More buyers interested versus that prior day low on NQ there. Data in about 10 seconds. "15 minutes in, there's your first 15-minute bar. So basically, main focus now is whether or not this structure continues to hold into 10 a.m. It's kind of the focus. Some more buying interest versus that prior day low. See if price can break that 410 area. Kind of a micro change in character there if it can. Staying patient. Letting that initial pre-10 a.m. structure develop. So keep an eye on that 5 minute in this location here, like we discussed. It's all prior support through here. So we want to see how this continues to develop. It's kind of just like a 3-session range here. First trading day of the week, first trading day of the month. Next data print in about 11 minutes. Last one was pretty much a nothing burger, but something you always want to have that awareness when it comes to those data prints. That's what it's all about. Awareness. Let's take a look at this profile. So pretty large volume node building out here. That's probably the regular trading hours point of control. Yes, it is. Right through there. "10 minutes till 10 a.m., 10 till 10, 10 till 10. So I'll be looking at that same area here into 10 a.m. prior day low in that 335 level of interest. Like to see how this next 15-minute bar closes. So I'm looking at that as well. Let's check on S&P. So S&P into the lows there, coming into that 5,600. That was that next big level we talked about a few minutes ago. Yeah, 5625 failure into prior day volume point of control. No real bid there. Now down into that, well, not quite, but working on that 5,600 area. Prior day low on ES is 5594. Data in 7 minutes. So a potential higher low here on NQ versus the prior day low. Main thing to keep an eye on is just kind of the structure right through here. How's this going to resolve? Failed change in character up through here. That was at 410. So let's see how it shakes out now. Back into the lows there. See if you get a test of the 335. And then see if 10 a.m. reversal time gives us something decent to work with. Just noting that the weekly volume point of control has shifted down here into 392. There's 335. Let's take a look. So 335, if we see a big failure there in this 335 area, you're looking at down into 150. This would all be no man's land for me down here. So I'll be looking at 335, and then if it fails, most likely call it for the morning session and look to trade the 150 bounce. Let's take a look at the structure on S&P. Still not into that prior day low, so per usual, ES showing some good relative strength. Let me see the hourly. There it is. So coming into that near-term range low area, 5,600, 5,585 is the more important level here for S&P. Like we had mentioned, you want to see following a reject of that near-term range high, if buyers are going to step in versus a mid-range reference point or not. And if they don't, where's price going to trade once that near-term range high is rejected? Well, probably down into the range low. That was that if you caught the mentorship group session on Friday that we had, that was that exact topic that we discussed. So let's see this 335 reaction here into 10 a.m., 4 minutes till 10 a.m. Data at 10 a.m. as well. So far the level holding fairly well. Price just bouncing into that prior day low again. More sellers showing up there. Three minutes till 10. New lows being made. Anyone nail the shorts here? I'm watching that 335 into 10. See if we get a 10 a.m. reversal time or not. 10 a.m. RT. Oh, 10 a.m. RT. Don't forget more data here at 10. Back into that prior day low. So let's see if price can reclaim that prior day low. Prior day low. About 40 seconds till 10 a.m. Gotta love to see this type of reaction versus the levels of interest. Let's see if it continues to hold now. Tape is really accelerating. Data incoming. Spread opens up. That's how you know you got some data. Data. There it is. New lows being made. And your intraday structure is pretty clear here, right? Here's your open, right in this zone. Lower high. Potential lower high here right at the prior day low. So like I said, I'll watch this 335 for a couple minutes here, and then if it fails, the next level is quite a bit lower. So you gotta understand what you want to see in relation to the current structure. And it's kind of that last stand for buyers, in my opinion. 335 on NQ. Let's take a look at S&P. So it tested and held that 5,600. You got some pretty big volume coming in with that data print as well. 5,600 stays on watch there. And I'm looking at NQ with that prior day low. See if that prior day low can reclaim. You may get a test of 410. So if 370, if buyers can show acceptance above 370, you can probably look at 410. So see if that prior day low holds now. And keep an eye on this 5-minute candle closure as well. See if that prior day low can hold. It's looking better. It's definitely looking better, but you want to see 370 continue to hold now. I would prefer it if the session volume point of control was below current price point instead of above. That would be helpful. So no sustained bounce in S&P. No sustained bounce there in ES. Watch your 370 here on NQ. See how this 5-minute bar closes. Intraday still a downtrend. Intraday structure still a downtrend. For that to shift, you really need some sustained action up through 410. Coming back into 335 here. Just watching this intraday structure versus 335. And again, failure here. Next level that I have is 150. So this is a critical spot. Let's take a look at some of the higher time frames. Yeah, 150, next major level there. So this is that big gap for regular trading hours. Big unfilled gap. Can you guys see that? There it is. Big unfilled gap right there. So I'd probably watch last Wednesday's low as a reference point, 278. I'll put a little line there. But note the big gap here. ES at prior day low. Yeah, ES, I'll be interested in that 5585 area. Down into the true lower portion of the range. Let's take a look at that regular trading hours chart as well. So that gap is way down into 5526. That's the gap from August 14th into August 15th. So NQ trading near the lows here, trading near that 335. If this area fails, you've got that 278. That's kind of that last tick before the big gap below. VWAP still way up here at 500 on NASDAQ. Let's take a look at ES, still way up here at 5630. Gap rules today worked pretty nicely, right? Love to see it. Opening 5-minute bar is quite bearish. Easy way to avoid any longs until at least 10 a.m. See if NASDAQ pukes the low here. There it goes. New low of day there on NASDAQ. So I'll look to see reaction into 278. Sellers pretty strongly in control here. New lows being made past 10 a.m. So if you're looking for a long trade, caution, definitely warranted. Structure doesn't favor it as of right now. Now, if you start to see a shift in that intraday structure, like a higher low, that would be notable. But right now, this is all lower highs. This is purely lower highs. S&P found a little bit of a bid there. 5,600 stays on watch. Like to see if we get some sort of setup here on NASDAQ. Watch that 5-minute bar here on NASDAQ. Next 15-minute bar here closes in about 4 minutes. $335 stays on watch here, right through here. $335. Almost a 1 ATR move here on NQ, including overnight action. Looking at 376 points. What about S&P? Yeah, 1 ATR move there on S&P as well. Rolling over versus NQ rolling over versus that 335 again. Structure still shows that intraday downtrend. I'll keep an eye, like I said, I'll keep an eye on that 278. That was that last price, that last area of support before the gap. If you look at your regular trading hours chart, you'll see that. Let's take a look here. Unfilled gap. So you just put a note. Right through there. There's your new low being made on NASDAQ. S&P as well. So we'll see this reaction here. Whether it brings any buying interest at all. S&P into that 5585 near term, starting to get into that near term range low zone. Whoa. So 55.85, you want to keep an eye on these higher time frame charts. $15-minute, 30-minute. If 55.85 fails, you're looking at that 55.65, last Wednesday's low. So NQ coming into that 278 area. There's your new 15-minute bar starting. So 278 stays on watch here. NQ, we'll see if we get a real test of that area. But so far, no buyers in this tape. No buyers. S&P, keep an eye on that 5585. Let's take a look at the current profile. Where we at? Okay. So NQ needs to break at the very least like 345, 350 area for even a slight change in character on this intraday downtrend. Ideal scenario for me would be a break above 335 that then offers a retest in the form of like a higher low. So that's one scenario to keep an eye on. See if it pans out. Waiting for that exact thing. Yeah, I think that would be a decent setup, personally. So ES responsive buyers so far versus the 85 area. No real change of character here until essentially this most recent lower high, right? Call it 5,600. I'm more interested in NASDAQ currently. So let's see if we get a break of that 335. Like I said, if that 278 area fails, essentially, if we see acceptance below the current session low, that'll be the main clue for me to shut it down for the morning and watch the afternoon session. Need a big shift in character on the higher time frames at that point, which just takes time to develop. See if this 15-minute bar can close green. Still have 7 minutes. So a little bit of a bid. Let's see if 335 can trade. Like to see 335 trade. 335. S&P, if it can reclaim that prior day low, that would be significant here in the near term. Feel like Indiana Jones avoiding traps all morning? That's good, man. That is good. When will you watch afternoon sesh? So essentially, if I don't see a setup for the morning, I'll just work on other tasks and just keep an eye on how the higher time frame structure builds out. Look for that move later in the session. Let's see 335 here on NASDAQ. See if it could trade. 5 minutes till that 15 bar closes. Could be the first green 15-minute bar closure of the sesh. Could be. Right? It's not closed yet. It's not closed yet, so... So looking for 335 to trade, and I want to see the reaction there like I mentioned. There's 335. Okay. All right. Now, can we get it up and through? Can we see price up and through 335? Let it build. Let it build. So far, rejecting. It's not what we want to see. At least for the long setup, right? That's exactly what sellers want to see. There's that rejection at the 335. So it looks like we may get that first green 15-minute bar closure. One minute. One more, less than a minute, 50 seconds. So a green close would be pretty significant. I still want the discussed setup. Still want to see that action up through 335. Which at this point would be significant because it would show a little bit of a higher low here. But as of right now, 335 being rejected. Coming into the lows now. That's why we wait. Good live example of why you want to wait for that change of character. Don't be chasing every little bounce with an intraday downtrend. That's not the move. That is not the move at all. Here comes that low. There's that 78. Yeah, it's slicing right through. Right through. It's now into that gap. Now into that unfilled gap. So if you're riding shorts from the 335 reject, try to ride them. Keep trying to ride them. But for a long only like myself, it's a pretty uneventful session so far. That first green 15-minute bar closure, completely negated, right? NQ now into that unfilled gap. And again, to see that gap, you can just flip to your regular trading hours chart. I like the 5-minute here. And there it is, right through here. Right through here. Right through there. So for me personally, what I'd like to see now for maybe a late morning trade, but most likely an afternoon play. And the reason I say that is just because we're going to need to see some higher time frame shift here on the 15-minute, on the 30-minute. But what I'd like to see is some type of reclaim of that 335 that then holds, or alternatively kind of like a, let's get back to the 5-minute, like a sideways base through here, right? Sideways base builds out, and then a break from the base, like an intraday accumulation base. If this continues in a downtrend for the day, then there won't be a play for me. So it's kind of the game plan as of right now. Yeah, that 335 short was really nice. Definitely. Because that is truly that last structural point before 150, right? There's not a lot of support through here. If we like get onto the 60-minute, under that hourly chart. What is in my ears? Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, so on this Let's rescale this. On your hourly chart, right, not a lot of support with 335 gone until we start to get into that 150 area. This was that Wednesday low, overnight session low, and then you also have the structural point through here. Now remember on NQ, what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks now is this is still a near-term downtrend. Big time resistance versus the 700, right? So it's just today's move's just a byproduct of current structure at play. Nothing more, nothing less. It's about 1 hour into the sesh. One hour into the session. Keep an eye on that 5585 on S&P there. S&P is still within the near-term range. It's not broken down. It's not even close to that gap that NQ is into. So this thing's been much stronger, right, with the relative strength. 5585 stays on watch. If it fails here, you're looking at 5565. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye still on this 5585 area here on ES. Let's see, there it is. Watch this kind of intraday structure. Right here at 5585. Volume's really tapering out of S&P. NQ down into that no man's land. So I'll keep an eye on on ES here if it continues to trade near 85 for probably the next 20 minutes. See if we get a setup, and then it'll be time to call it for the morning sesh. Ideal scenario here on ES, if we were to see a setup, would be a break of this structure. You get a retest with some sort of higher low. Trade it up into kind of the intraday structural point right through there, right? Be decent. Not amazing, but decent. See what NASDAQ is doing. Down 2%. NASDAQ down 1.94%, pushing into that unfilled gap. No bid whatsoever. So where does that gap fill? Let's take a look. Switch to that RTH chart and see the gap fills. Yeah, pretty much into that 150. That 150 downside level of interest. Right through there. S&P holding its own for now. So I'm looking at the reaction here, 5585 on S&P for the next 15 minutes or so. See if we get a setup. If not, that's a wrap on the morning sesh. NQ, like I said, down into no man's land. Grab that short, Benny. Nice. Nice work. Well done. $320. Nice. Great entry. New lows there on S&P. Yeah, gap fill is down near 150. May actually tag that 150 level of interest before we're 90 minutes into the sesh. Let's see. Much better volume coming in now on NQ. NASDAQ. See if that next downside level of interest can trade here in the next 13 minutes. There we go. So I'll keep an eye on the 150 level of interest if we see it trading here shortly. Don't even need to wait for that afternoon sesh. Let's see the reaction. About 40 points off now. All right, here it comes. Watch that reaction at 150. If you guys are riding those shorts, make sure you trim. Starting to get into target now. Got about 9 minutes till that next 30-minute bar. Looking at more than a 1 ATR move now on NQ. And we're looking at the reaction here into that 150 area on NASDAQ. Do buyers start to step in? Let's see. See if we get an actual test of the 150. Got about 5 minutes left on this 30-minute bar. Took profits on the short ray. Nice. Nice trade, man. Well done. Well done. Nicely done, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's almost into target, so tightening it, a bit more as price gets closer and closer to that target, I think that's a good approach. Got the ES short 2 going. Rich, nice. So NQ, we want to see that reaction here at 150 as we get into 11 a.m. Almost 90 minutes into the session. So let's see, getting right into that level of interest. Gap is pretty much filled there. Unfilled gap right through here. Today's action fills it. So we've got about 2 minutes till 11 a.m. See if we get any action here. Any decent action around 11 a.m. See if buyers start to step in or if that selling continues. Fresh lows on the sesh. I'd like to see a true test of the 150. Here it comes. There we go. There's 11 a.m. There's 150 on NASDAQ. Where's S&P at? We down into 6.5 yet? No, it looks like 7.5. Okay. So not quite into that 6.5 area. So responsive buyers versus the 150 so far. See if 200 can trade up and through. Keep an eye on that 5-minute bar as well. There's 200. Finally, something decent. Finally. I hate to see a long only win. See if we get some follow through here. Caught that, Ray? Nice. Need some follow through. There we go. That's better. Raise those trails to just below 180 on NQ. Just below that little structure point. $2x daily goal rate. Nice. That's a good start to the month right there. Very nice. I trimmed a bit more of the 150 long. Just trying to ride trails down below 180. I always get that, well, not always, but typically get that little flurry of action that I frequently talk about when that 30-minute bar closes and you get a fresh one opening. Good example of that right there into 11 a.m. right at the level of interest. Aggressive trade, admittedly, but it's worth a try. Worth a try. Let's see if we can ride it. If we get a break at 210, I'll raise the trail just beneath 190 on NQ. This will be my second trade of the sesh. I did take a stop earlier near 335. See how much we can squeeze out of this one. So raising the trail up to 190 now. Check out that 15-minute. Starts to be engulfing up through 231. Good sign for buyers if that does actually pan out. I'm going to raise the trail on my play to just below 200 now. Trail's about to be taken out. There goes the trail. Back in cash. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. So now what you want to see, or what I would like to see anyway, is some type of higher low develop. Do not want to see selling activity down below the 150. If 150 fails, you're probably looking at 19K. So 150 is definitely a critical level to be holding. But if some sort of higher low can develop with the 15-minute showing like a bullish engulfing or something of that matter, that would definitely be a positive development for buyers. So that would be one scenario to keep in mind. As of right now, intraday is still a downtrend, right? If you look at the most recent kind of lower high, it's like right through here, but really right through here. So just be careful, stay nimble with those long setups. And I think that's a wrap. I think that's a wrap for the stream. I'll probably keep the day going in the Traders Think Tank. See if we can hit daily goal yet. I am 1 for 2. Took that stop near 335. Pretty nice recovery with that 150 bounce just now. Hope you guys had a great session. Thanks for jumping in the stream. Tomorrow's stream will be private. So if you're just watching on YouTube and you're not a member of the Traders Think Tank, I recommend jumping in there if you enjoy the streams. And thanks again, guys. I will see you